Hello and welcome to KLM Institute.
Today, we've got a fascinating topic to discuss. It's about the ongoing debate around work hours and work-life balance that's been catching a lot of attention. Recently, Anand Mahindra, the chairperson of Mahindra Group, made a sharp comment regarding the 90-hour workweek proposed by Larsen Toubro's L&T chairman, SN Subrahmanyan. And believe me, what he said is bound to make you think twice about how we approach work in today's fast-paced world. So, what exactly happened? Well, just this past week, SN Subrahmanyan, the L&T chairman, made some bold remarks about the importance of working longer hours. He suggested that employees should put in 90-hour workweeks, including working on Sundays, claiming that employees shouldn't be sitting idle at home. He even mentioned, "What do you do sitting at home? How long can you stare at your wife? How long can wives stare at their husbands? Go to the office and start working." Now, these comments sparked a lot of controversy, and the discussion about the idea of long work hours began to flood social media. People couldn't help but question the impact of such statements on mental health, family life, and overall well-being. And it didn't take long for Anand Mahindra to respond. Mahindra, known for his progressive views on work and leadership, took a jibe at Subrahmanyan's suggestion and argued that the focus should not be on the quantity of hours spent working but rather on the quality of work. Mahindra made it clear that work is not about just how many hours you clock in, it's about the value you bring to those hours. According to him, whether you're working 10 hours or 90 hours, it all comes down to the output you're delivering. In a candid conversation with First Post's managing editor, Palki Sharma, during the Viksit Bharat Young Leaders Dialogue 2025, Mahindra said, "It's not about the number of hours. My point is that it should be about the quality of work. It's not about 40 hours or 90 hours, but what output you are doing, even if it is just 10 hours. He further added, "If you're not spending time at home, with friends, or reading, and you don't have time to reflect, how will you bring the inputs into making the right decisions?" Mahindra's argument is not just about the quality of work, it's also about balance. He pointed out that if employees are forced to dedicate all their time to work and have no time for family, relaxation, or personal growth, how will they be able to make sound, thoughtful decisions at work? A well-rounded life, he says, is necessary for producing quality work. Now, let's take a moment to critically analyze the idea of a 90-hour workweek, including Sundays, and what it really means for the people working under such conditions. First off, it's clear that this approach can have serious psychological, physiological, and emotional consequences. Psychologically, forcing individuals to work excessive hours without rest can lead to burnout, stress, and anxiety. When people don't have time to decompress or engage in activities they enjoy, they become mentally fatigued, which can severely affect their ability to focus, make decisions, and perform at their best. Over time, this can contribute to a mental health crisis among employees. Physiologically, the effects of working long hours without adequate rest are also concerning. Studies show that extended work hours can increase the risk of cardiovascular diseases, sleep disorders, and chronic fatigue. Lack of sleep and constant stress can weaken the immune system, making employees more susceptible to illness. And without time for physical activity or relaxation, the body's resilience to stress diminishes, further contributing to a downward spiral in health. Emotionally, the impact is no less severe. If employees are working 90 hours a week, they're missing out on essential time with their families, friends, and themselves. This lack of personal time can lead to feelings of isolation, resentment, and a decline in emotional well-being. Relationships, both personal and professional, can suffer when individuals are constantly preoccupied with work and don't have the space to nurture their emotional connections. Now, Let's come back to Anand Mahindra. When he addressed this issue, he wasn't just challenging Subrahmanyan's views, he was also highlighting a broader issue that many corporate leaders overlook: the need for work-life balance. Mahindra's comments point to the fact that focusing on long hours instead of work quality is a short-sighted approach that can harm both the individual and the organization. Mahindra himself has emphasized that, even as a high-profile business leader, he makes time for his family and for self-reflection. During the discussion, he even revealed that he is active on social media not because he is lonely, but because he believes social media is a powerful business tool. His wife is a huge part of his life, and he makes time for her, showing that even at the top level of business, maintaining personal connections and time for reflection is just as important as work itself. What Mahindra is ultimately advocating for is a shift in corporate culture, a culture that values the quality of work, employee well-being, and a balanced approach to productivity. Instead of demanding long hours at the expense of personal health and relationships, he is calling for an environment where employees can thrive both in and out of the office. As for Subrahmanyan's controversial comments, they are a reminder of the outdated mentality that still persists in some parts of the corporate world, where the number of hours worked is seen as the ultimate measure of dedication.
Why is L&T still making employees work on Saturdays even after being one of the largest conglomerates and the face of India's business world?
I regret I'm not able to make you work on Sundays, to be honest. If I can make you work on Sundays, I'll be more happier. I work on Sundays also. What do you do sitting at home? How long can you stare at your wife? How long can the wife stare at your husband? Come on, get to the office and start working. You know, I was meeting with the Chinese recently, and the gentleman told me, we will beat America anytime. I said, why are you saying that? The Americans work 50 hours a week, we work 90 hours a week. I was a little stunned at his answer. So that's the answer for you. You've got to be on top of the world. You've got to make the fastest, biggest, longest, the largest, everything like that. You've got to work 90 hours a week. Get going, guys. Come on.
However, as we move into a new era, it's becoming increasingly clear that the future of work lies in empowering individuals to be more effective, creative, and innovative, qualities that are often nurtured when people are allowed to live fulfilling personal lives outside of work.
I think that's fantastic advice. I think there is a need for this conversation because corporate leaders have created wealth and created millions of jobs in India. The young have their own understanding of how they want to lead their lives, and that is leading to a lot of debate as well. You may be aware about work-life balance, and there are prescriptions on 70-hour work weeks, 90-hour work weeks. How do you address something like that? What is your idea of this balance, and how much is too much?
I said ऐसे audience में this सवाल ये तो आना ही है आज कोई ना कोई मुझे पूछेगा इस सवाल. So I'll tell you, I have huge respect for Mr. Narayan Murthy and others. So let me not get this wrong.
Of course.
But I have to say something. I think this debate is in the wrong direction, because this debate is about the quantity of work. My point is, we have to focus on the quality of work, not on the quantity of work. So it's not about 40 hours, it's not about 70 hours, it's not about 90 hours. What output are you doing even if it's 10 hours? You can change the world in 10 hours. So the ministers just sent me a note saying we have the My Bharat platform, which is a single window platform for all youth activities, and we will integrate with the Aspire platform. Thank you, sir. Now, that's what you call an action-oriented government right there. He didn't even wait 1 minute before responding. My salam to you. So coming back to your question, Palki, I have always believed that you have to have leaders and people in your company who make wise decisions, wise choices. So the question is, which kind of mind makes the right choices and right decisions. And I think a mind that is exposed to holistic thinking, that is open to inputs from around the world, that's why I'm such a votary of liberal arts. I think even if you're an engineer, even if you're an MBA, you must study art, you must study culture. The MC was very kind that we support art and culture. Why? Why am I making shareholders pay for that? Because I think you make better decisions when you have a whole brain. When you are informed about arts, culture, that's when you'll make a good decision. If you're not spending time at home, if you're not spending time with friends, if you're not reading, if you don't have time to reflect, how will you bring the right inputs into making a decision? Let's take our business. You make a car. We have to decide what a customer wants in a car. If we are only in the office all the time, we are not with our families, we are not with other families, how are we going to understand what people want to buy? What kind of car do they want to sit in? So that is why I'm a big votary. I'm not going to say you need to work so many hours or that. Often you have to be in a tunnel just to complete a project or a title or there's a crisis, but you should not be in a tunnel every time. And Gandhiji said, open your windows, let the air in. So I definitely think there's no such thing as a work-life balance. There is something where it's not about balancing two things. You make good decisions if you have a holistic life, and you cannot be in a tunnel all the time.
Absolutely. And I think there's something to be said for both the arguments. I mean, you don't become a Narayan Murthy with a 9-to-5 work schedule, right? Sometimes you have to push. We grew up learning things like no pain, no gain. And yet, I think everybody has their own threshold and they decide what they... You're very successful. If I could ask you, how many hours a week do you work?
This is what I want to avoid, Palki. I don't want it to be about the time. I don't want it to be about quantity. Ask me what's the quality of my work. Don't ask me how many hours I work.
And since you're giving us tips, you look worried. It's not a trick question. How much time in a day do you spend on social media? Because you've aced your social media game, and yet you have managed time so well because you've built institutions. And I think we can all learn. I mean, this is a challenge that...
I'm often asked this question. Then I'm asked about, do you have a office that manages it? If anyone's read my tweets, if you think my office can write like that, then I've got a fabulous team who lives inside my head. I don't know why people even ask that. So then you say, how much time do you have? And every time I'll get in my timeline, sab aap faltu ko nahi kar kaam karo, aap Twitter pe kyun hai? This kind of thing keeps coming up. I want to tell people and I've been asked this, I'm on X, on social media, not because I'm lonely. My wife is wonderful. I love staring at her. I spend more time. So I'm not here to make friends. I'm here because people don't understand. It is an amazing business tool. How in one platform, I get feedback from 11 million people. If I asked any research firm to tell me, can you get me a sample of 11 million? Do you know what they charge me? So frankly, I once asked Microsoft or something, create a cockpit for me that tells me, how I can, what's happening in my factory, what's happening here, what's happening there. And they said $1 million. So I said, can't do it. And then Twitter came around and it was free. So everybody out there has a mobile camera. I'll give you just 2 examples, which, since these are young people. One of them was a person who tweeted to me saying, I want to thank you. My girlfriend and I were at a concert in Nasik, and she got sick and was throwing up right outside the wall of your factory. Pawan, you may know this story. I may have told you this. And she said that at that time, your chowkidar from the factory, the security officer, came out and he helped us and got her water. And I just wanted to thank you. That's a wonderful gesture instead of trying to chase us away. So I called up the factory manager and I said, find out who this chowkidar is. I want you to felicitate him in front of people. given some flowers from me, and say, that's the culture I want Mahindra to have.
So, what do you think? Is the focus on long hours really helping companies, or is it just leading to burnout and reduced productivity? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and share this video, and stay tuned for more discussions like this right here at KLM Institute.